was something else going on in Jedi. I never noticed it till today. They built another Death Star, right?
Yeah.
Now, the first one was completed and fully operational before the Rebels destroyed it.
Luke blew it up. Give credit where credit's due.
And the second one was still being built when they blew it up.
Compliments of Lando Calrissian.
Something just never sat right with me that second time around. I could never put my finger on it, but something just wasn't right.
And you figured it out.
The first Death Star was manned by the Imperial Army. The only people on board were stormtroopers, dignitaries, Imperials.
Basically.
So when they blew it up, no problem. Evil's punished.
And the second time around?
The second time around, it wasn't even done being built yet. It was still under construction.
So?
So a construction job of that magnitude would require a hell of a lot more manpower than the Imperial Army had to offer. I'll bet they brought independent contractors in on that thing. Plumbers, aluminum siders, roofers.
Not just Imperials. Is that what you're getting at?
Exactly. In order to get it built quickly and quietly, they'd hire anybody that can do the job. Think the average stormtrooper knows how to install a toilet main? All they know is killing in white uniforms.
All right, so they bring in independent contractors. Why are you so upset at its destruction?
All those innocent contractors brought in to do the job were killed. Casualties of a war they had nothing to do with. All right, look. You're a roofer. Some juicy government contract comes your way. You got a wife and kids, the two-story in suburbia. This is a government contract, which means all sorts of benefits. Along come these left-wing militants and blast everything within a 3-mile radius with their lasers. You didn't ask for that. You have no personal politics. You're just trying to scrape out a living.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?
This is blasphemy. This is madness. This is the booth.
That's how you take down a motherfucker. Oh, that's right.
Now that's a real badge. I'm a real cop, and this is a real gun.
Conan, what is best in life? To crush your enemies, see them driven before you, and to hear the lamentation of their women.
Yo, my raw style belongs in the octagon. I put my opinion on the beats I'm talking on, and I knew it all along. Now I said it best, there's only one mic and it's not LeBron. It ain't gonna happen, so stop searching for someone to be the next other person, cause it's not working. I won't be the next, no one is so degrading. Everyone's a critic and it's got me extra motivated. They say soft is rated R. Shawty's already down to a bra. I'll tell her to take it off. It's so hard, I just want her to make it soft. Having dreams about that ass, baby, break me off. A little peace at least, I need some sleep. I'ma be a superstar, girl, please believe. Cause I freak them beats. And I stay stacking money. That's why all these broke rappers stay acting funny. The conclusion is foregone. I'ma make more songs. Undefeated. Woman's out of the horn frogs. You corny rappers are corn dogs. They put morons. This beat in the ass, make it a porn song.
What's he?
All right, it's your boy Sinister One broadcasting live from the City of Champions, and let me get this turned down here. You are listening to The Booth. It is January 24th, 2018. Man, we just came on the air a little while ago, and it said Happy New Year. Hold on, my wife made me some nice cheddar cheese soup just before going on the air, and you know, you can get that fresh Parmesan cheese, R-squared.
Oh, yeah.
She
Nothing
made
better.
the soup and put the soup in this big coffee mug that says Dad on it. And then she took the Parmesan cheese and just shredded it across the top. And our first guest is actually calling into the show. Let me get him in here.
Yeah, let's go.
Shredded it across the top of the soup. So now it's all melted. And then my daughter, she made nice buttery croissants to dip into the. So if you hear my mic go silent, that would be me.
You're chewing.
Of my soup. Mark Chauppetta, are you on with us?
I am. Hi, how's it going, guys?
What's going on? So we got a good show tonight. We got a great show tonight. Waiting for Ken Diesel to get on the show here with us. I know he's ready to go full Diesel because of the video that's been on my Facebook page that's been blowing up. Actually,
still in court?
He did say he may be busy today, So we're just going to play it by ear, and hopefully he can get on with us tonight, and we can get this in, because I know he was all fired up about this video, and he is an immigration attorney, so I really would like to get him on. I know there's a lot of people hanging out in the chat listening to the show tonight, and we got a lot of stuff that we're going to discuss tonight. We have a fighter, Michael Darrah, that's coming on at 7:30. But
awesome.
Let's get right into our first guest, because we got a lot of stuff to talk about. I actually just got out of the Facebook jail. We're going to talk about that too, me and my son. we got Mark Chauppetta on with us, and Mark's the guy that's responsible for the booth. He's the guy that put the booth on the map. He's the guy that started me and Ken Diesel in radio and got us on his show here at WXBR in Brockton many moons and years ago. We had a great time. He's now shooting Father's Fight, an updated version of Father's Fight, but he's got this big event coming up this weekend, and it's a throwback to the 80s. And Mark, you're on here, and this is all about Troy and Andrew, and I'm just going to let you say what you got to say, man.
Yeah, well, before I talk about my kids and my event, by day I am a criminal defense investigator, so I can help you next time you get in Facebook jail. So just let me know.
I'm pretty sure that's going to be the running gag for tonight. When people call in, I said, me and my son now are Facebook felons. We can't hang with other people.
I could probably even get you a public defender. His name's Ken Diesel.
Hey, you know what's funny is Facebook will put you in jail for posting a clear, little meme about the Tide Pods, but we're going to let Russian bots go around and ruin our elections and smear Robert Mueller. But that's no problem, I guess. No jail for them.
And the funny thing is, too, when I asked them what I was being banned the 24 hours for, you got to go through this whole process, and they make you wait, and then they send you this message with the picture of the post of what you posted. And they sent it to me, and they said, this is what you posted, and it's in violation of our community standards, blah, 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 blah. Please read this over. If it happens again,
wow.
I can get a 48-hour, and then after that it's 3, and then it can be 30. And I'm like, it's a meme. Like back in the day when we were younger, you had those stickers of the mock food and things like that, and you collected them, and it was the same exact thing. And,
hey, Ken's on.
Oh, Ken's on.
You got to get him
in here. And,
hey, Ken.
That's what happens, Yeah, he should be coming right in. Let me try to call him
cool.
because I'm pretty sure he's not going to know how to just click it and get in here.
Yeah,
so let's add it. Yeah, let's just add the group call. He's probably going to have some type of story. So let's see if he comes in full Diesel, if he just comes in calm Diesel. Let's see here.
No, it'll be full.
Add to group call. Here he comes. Let's see. His mug should be popping up soon.
There it is.
Right here.
There he is. Diesel.
You're pretty calm. You're pretty tame.
Hey, Kenny.
Hey, Mark. What's shaking?
Geez, don't sound too excited to talk to me.
Damn! Wow! Wow!
Did I do something wrong?
I think someone's going to the booth jail.
Jesus.
The booth jail.
That was about as painful as those Bill Belichick handshakes with what's his name down there at the Jets.
Jeez, Ken, we've been friends for 25 years.
Yeah, well, I'm not mad at you, but there's somebody else here who was supposed to be on the air 8 minutes ago. Little mistake.
We were on the air 8 minutes ago.
Excuse me.
We sent you an invite. You didn't answer it, and we just popped online. So obviously,
I've been sitting here. Excuse me, at 7:05, I sent you a message through Facebook. It says, "Are we on?"
It's not even worth arguing with a defense attorney because you always lose, no matter what. No matter if you're right.
No, you are never right with me. You need to understand that.
Defense attorney, so it's not worth it. So Mark's on here. He's talking about his event. I believe Z-Man.
Yes, well, I haven't talked about it yet, but we can talk about it.
Go for it, because it gives me time to eat this gorgeous soup that my wife made for me.
Oh my God, he's gonna do this again. He's gonna freaking do it again. Oh my God.
Yeah,
dude.
And thank you, Ken. Shut up for a sec. This is my moment. But sorry, I just had a flashback of the On the Mark show from like 15 years ago. Sorry.
Okay, now you're gonna pay for that comment. You know that.
Well, Keith, thanks for giving me props. I don't deserve all the credit for, branding, I guess, you in the radio business, but I will take credit for Ken.
Well, you know what, Mark? I'd say you do, because I was only writing articles in newspapers and stuff, and I had never done any radio, and you reached out to me, and at that time I had never done any radio. I was just this guy that called in the shows, but I wrote a lot of articles, so I do owe you for that.
Well, thank you. I actually went to a benefit the other night, this past Saturday night, for a high school friend of mine who has cancer, and one of the gentlemen that was there, who I haven't seen in probably 25 years, told me that he missed our radio show.
Mm-hmm.
So it was a flattering compliment. But anyway, so the reason I'm on tonight is that this Saturday night here, anyone that's listening to the show right now, listening to the booth, is from the South Shore area, South Shore of Massachusetts, I should say. We're having an event this Saturday night in the town of Abington at Emerald Hall, which is the old Knights of Columbus. It's near the police station, Island Grove, that area. For those people that are listening that are local, I should say, because I know you reach far depths beyond just the South Shore. But if anyone wants to take a plane in and come, more than welcome. But those that are local, we're having an 80s rock and roll back to the 80s event this Saturday night for my 501c3. That attorney Ken Diesel is our general counsel, the Wheelchair Strong Foundation, and we're raising money for Duchenne's muscular dystrophy. A lot of people that recognize my voice or my name know that my twin sons, Troy and Andrew, have this nasty terminal disease. But, you know, we fight it daily, weekly, yearly with these events. I like to run events that entertain people, make people laugh, make people have fun. And this particular one is the decade that probably made all of us, the 1980s. So we're excited for it. We got a great band, great raffle items, and I don't know. I try to tell people that my events aren't just for raising awareness for Duchenne's, but it's at our age, in our 40s, 50s, 10s, 60s. It gives us the it gives us the
Son,
ability.
you're going down hard. That's all I can say. Just dig that hole a little deeper.
Yeah, Ken doesn't look a day over 58.
Oh, I thought you just hit.
Hey, pal, you're older than me. Just remember that. You're a year older than I am. I'm 58. That means you're 59.
It gives us the opportunity to get together at my events and actually kind of hang out with some friends that you haven't seen in a while. So if anybody's around Abington this Saturday, hit us up. Check the wheelchairstrong.com website, and you can show up and have a great time. And Ken, you're going to be there. You're going to put any requests of songs in. What was your favorite song from the 1980s?
Oh God, there were so many of them.
You told me St. Elmo's Fire, I think.
What? St. Elmo's Fire was a great one. Final Countdown.
Were you a hair band guy? Or
huge hair
Countdown. That's Europe, right?
That was Europe, yes. Was that the 90s? That was the 90s, wasn't it? That was
that was late 80s.
Oh, that's 80s. Europe's the 80s.
Don't pay the ferryman. Let's see what else. Of course, anything by Twisted Sister. It was great. Actually, it's funny. I have a great story about Twisted Sister. My one claim to fame was we got kicked out of a club in Jersey after we got into a fight with the Twisted Sister band. My friends and I, they were opening for Brawl. This became famous, and D-Steiner threw a mic stand at my friend who called him a faggot.
Oh, ouch! Ooh.
And then we tried to rush the stage. We got caught and got thrown out. We had the mic stand with us.
Hold on. The opinions and views expressed by Ken Diesel is not of the booth, or Whoobazoo, or Sinister One, or Mark Chauppetta, or Robert R. Squared. Go ahead, Ken.
So we're outside, and Alan Kidd, who, by the way, now is a counselor in the city of Mawa, is holding onto the mic stand when one of the Twisted Sisters roadies comes out and asks for it back because they only have 4 mic stands, one for each of the members of the band, and they need it back. So we gave it to him back. About a year later, I'm at home, and I get this call from my friend Alan. This is back when, by the way, we didn't have cell phones. We actually had things on the wall called landlines. Mm-hmm. And he goes, turn on MTV, do it. I do it, and I said, isn't that the guy we got into the fight with a year ago down the Stone Pony? I go, yeah, it's that blonde guy. He's a guy. I go, I know. They just cut it. Their album just hit #1 on the Billboard charts.
Great group. Decent
I
night.
always said if I kept that mic stand, I'm probably going to sell it on eBay and pay for my nephew's education.
And they came out of nowhere too. MTV was responsible for. Like I've said before in this show, before we had our square joints, we had said that in the 80s and 90s, there are a lot of bands who were on MTV that probably would have never broke into the music industry if they didn't have that good visual or that good video. A band like Quiet Riot, I don't think would have gotten airplay if they didn't have such great videos. I think Men Without Hats. Is another band that there's a ton. There's a ton
Men
of
Without
bands.
Work. I mean, Men at Work. That's another one.
Men at Work. That was an Australian band.
Australian band.
You might be right. But I would say, who was the Domo Arigato, Mr. Roboto?
They were a huge band for the 70s.
Yeah. So
Styx was a huge band in the 70s.
Ken, can I ask you a question? Are you wearing a? Well, I hate to call it costume because they're not. We didn't wear costumes in the '80s. But what are you wearing Saturday night?
I was thinking about walking in with a dirty white suit with the collar turned up, and I was trying to get an afro wig, show my hair how it was back in the 80s. My hair is, unfortunately, I'm going bald now.
Afro wig?
Yes.
You had an afro in the 80s?
I had a huge afro. I did.
So you're going for the Don Johnson look?
Yeah, exactly. I look like Don. I look like a white Don. No, Don King. I was like a white Don King.
Well, this should be interesting. So I think that right there is the price of worth the price of admission, which is $25 to this event, and the proceeds go 100% towards Duchenne's muscular dystrophy, and some of the proceeds hopefully is going to go to funding the rest of this film, A Father's Fight, that actually had a production meeting on today, Ken, and we can talk about that later. Kind of mapping out the rest of the film and where we're going to be traveling around the country filming, and when we're going to wrap it up, and when it's going to go to edit and all that stuff. So we're.
Look, I only want to know when are you filming the fight scenes? That's all I want to know.
Well, it looks like I'm going to be heading out to Jay Glazer's gym in May to train with possibly him and Chuck Liddell.
No, I don't care about the training. I want to say when you get in the rings, you get the stuffing kicked out of you. That's the only reason I supported this whole thing.
Why would you want to see me get hurt, Ken?
Because I enjoy it. I mean, come on.
Then I won't be able to take care of my children. So.
But break out the violin.
He's so wrong. You're so wrong.
Yeah, he's evil, Ken, tonight, isn't he?
No, I'm sorry. I'm taking a page from our president. I'm telling it like it is. Getting down with the working man.
Well, you guys, it's almost my bedtime, so I'm not. I get up at 3:30 every day, so I'm getting ready to hit the hay soon. But I want to thank you for having me on. And if people are around this Saturday night at Emerald Hall in Abington, that they should check out this event, Rock and Rolling Back to the 80s. We got Crazy Dan Miller. He's a local comic who's going to be hosting the show. We got some great raffle items: Bruins tickets, Red Sox tickets, Celtics tickets, $2,000 diamond pendant, Keith, which is a nice item to win for your lady. Many gift baskets and, really, really neat things. And my sons themselves, Troy and Andrew, who are always the guests of honor, will be there selling their Wheelchair Strong T-shirts. And it's just a fun night. And, when I picked this date for this event, I kind of projected, arrogantly, knowing that it was the weekend before the Super Bowl and knowing that we would be going to the Super Bowl and everyone would be in good moods. And it's kind of that weekend that nothing's going on. So come on out, have some fun, party, and let's get ready for the Super Bowl the following week.
Nice. Good stuff, Mark. I want to thank you for coming on, man. It's good stuff.
Yeah,
good luck, Mark.
My pleasure. Go to wheelchairstrong.com and check out the site. The twins actually built the site. It's very informative. Gives you a little bit of bio on them, bio on me, and there's actually a mugshot of Ken Diesenhoff somewhere in there that I might be taking down if he's not nicer to me.
Oh, am I hurting your feelings, Snowflake? Oh, I'm sorry. You need a timeout, a safe spot?
Or I'm going to take it down and replace it with Ken Diezenoff in a white suit and an afro wig. All right, take care, guys.
All right, man, take care.
All right.
Good stuff. Good stuff. We got another person here that wanted to come in here and hang out for a little bit. Let me see if I can get this guy in here on this call. We are flying along here. And it sounds like he's in. This little new Skype thing on the update here, when there's a little notification when the people connect. That's pretty cool. Z-Man, you with us?
Yep. Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you. So we got Z-Man coming in with us before we bring our next guest on. Z-Man's going to hang out with us for a little bit. And we actually having some issues with the Facebook Live tonight. So what's going to end up happening is I'm going to have to post a show afterwards. But it looks like it bumped us off, and then it looks like we're scheduled to go back on at 7:25. But this may have something to do with, again, since you are now sitting with a Facebook felon, these issues may be because of that. So we got Z-Man on.
Yeah, isn't that kind of funny how Facebook kind of does that to you?
Well, again, it was a simple meme of Tide Pods Hot Pockets. It's pretty silly. And then what's funny is Terrell goes and posts a picture of a teenage girl sniffing Gain detergent, and I said to him, "You're gonna end up in Facebook jail."
No, I thought that was Comet. Was it Gain?
I don't know. It was something, but I just got through saying to him, "You're gonna end up in Facebook jail like your dad." I did. And sure enough, I sent the message and tagged his brother, and all of a sudden he doesn't answer. And I'm like, "Dude, why aren't you answering the tag?" He goes, "I'm in Facebook jail." I'm like, "Oh my God, that's Terrell. That would be Terrell." That would be Terrell.
See, I got thrown off Facebook a few times for trying to friend people that I don't know, and I got thrown off Facebook for that.
That's illegal?
Yeah, I've gotten. Well, I guess if the other person reports you, I guess, or something. I don't know.
Can I get around? Oh, wow. Can I do that to people I don't like? I'll just find them and go, "Hey, this is great. Wow. I can really screw with some people." Any other way I can get people in Facebook jail?
My sister-in-law's in Facebook jail. Seems like every other week.
Oh damn, yeah, because
I'm a little disappointed because I consider myself the rebel of this quartet. Okay, and I've never been in Facebook jail. God damn it, I need to step up my A game here. I'm losing all my cred.
I didn't even know about it till Sinister One was put in.
Yeah. See, this is what I'm talking about. Rob and I, we're the outlaws here, and we're like,
I've shared a ton of questionable stuff. So when I saw what I was put in jail for, I'm like, really? I'm like, that's one of them things, like when you go to jail and you don't want to, and the dudes ask you what you're in for, you try to lie and build it up.
Yeah, right.
It's like, what you in jail for, son? What's the man was holding me down. I had to hold up this liquor store and shoot two cops. And then I'm the guy who couldn't tell the story. Like, I don't know if you guys are familiar with the reality show 60 Days In.
Yep.
Which is a great show. They take people from off the streets and put them in jail for 60 days.
Yep.
Most of these episodes, they tell you right off the bat, these guys in jail can sniff out phonies. Make sure you stick with your cover story or they're going to rip you apart. And I remember the first season, the guy gets in there. He doesn't stick with his cover story. He tells the guy, "I got pulled over in 81 at a light because they said they ran the red light, blah, blah, blah." And the dude comes out and goes, "Yo, there's no light on 81 at such and such."
He went to like solitary confinement for about for a little while, and he was like, they were like, "You're out, you're done, get out of here."
They were gonna rape him. They were gonna beat up. They thought he was a cop at first.
But cops had better stories.
Yeah, but something, I couldn't do that because I don't know. I walk down the street, people are like, "You a cop?" I'm like, "Really? I'm just walking down the street, man, with groceries. What the fuck,
So we got Z-Man on. What's going on? You doing any movies, any shows, or anything?
Yeah, I'm in the middle of what going to be starting. The third season of Testing is going to be coming out, and we're going to be starting some filming on that again.
Yeah, and quality, that's good. I'm bringing our next guest in. You can hang out with us.
Okay.
Let me just make sure. Mikey Darrah. Mikey.
And then I know Mike Darrah. And then I just, yeah. And
this Mike Darrah that used to be a police officer, is it?
Oh, I don't know. I thought
You
I didn't know.
our guests are?
I didn't know there was more than one. But
we'll find out when he comes in.
But I sat there and I was like, then I just got cast. I just did a video audition 2 days ago, and they called me and they told me I got a role. I was like, okay, and I got asked. I never dealt with these people before, but I've been in talks with. I auditioned for them once before for something else, and I got asked to do another role. I rolled for them, and I'm in the middle of doing another series called Gods of This Earth. So hoping, and that's going to be Amazon Prime. So,
and of course you're playing that without makeup, right?
Oh yeah, all of it. So, Natural Beauty.
Don't you get the joke,
Beauty,
Gods of the Earth? He missed the joke.
So
are we going to see pictures of Frank on Facebook soon that say hashtag no filter without makeup?
Yeah, I was going to. Right now, I haven't been working in a while, so I've grown kind of a mustache and a beard. So I was going to go hashtag natural.
Hashtag natural. All right, let's see if we get this guy in here. I just heard the thing. Mike, you with us?
Yeah, I'm here, brother.
All right, we got Mike Darrah on. He's fighting in this event that we got coming up. Frank says he thinks he knows you. I know a Mike Darrah that's a Brockton police officer. Are you the same Mike Darrah?
That's him.
Yeah, I was a Brockton police officer. Yeah, that was me.
Shit! How do you get from that to boxing, dude?
Oh, dude, long story, man. Long story.
Let us have it, because I got a defense attorney, a jag.
I saw him at the gym today.
Yeah, let us know.
What's up, Frank? What's up? I didn't even hear the name until you just said, "What's up, brother? How you been?"
Good, and you? Yeah.
Good, man. Just getting in work early. I got almost 20 miles in on that thing.
All right,
nice.
We're all sitting here real quick. How does a Brockton police officer go from protecting our streets to? I know a lot. There's a lot of boxing that goes on at a lot of police stations across the country. Boxing's a big thing, but how do you go from that and end up in this big event that's coming up this weekend without? Because I know there's been some police officers who've lost their jobs for fighting in certain events. We've got a Boston police officer who fought Kimbo Slice, and they fired him because he brought his baton and hat to the ring on his ring entrance, which I think was BS because everybody in the Boston police force knew this guy was fighting. So I thought that was BS. Yeah. Go ahead, Mike.
Yeah, no, man. I kind of wish that's how I ended up losing my job, but that's not how it happened. Life happens. Now a little bit about me. I grew up in the East Side. Went through school, left, got out of school, went to the military, became an Army Airborne Ranger. Jumped back and forth overseas, did my thing, and got a little banged up, got home. I became a Bronx police officer. Actually, I got out of the Army on August 23rd, 2003. Went to the Academy August 25th, 2003. And everything was good, man. I mean, did my thing, and I was pretty much into everything, and had some incidents, excuse me, that had a couple shootings. Had an incident at one of the bars where, we had a shooter, kid came out of the bar shooting at another person, someone else was shooting at him. Shot him a few times, everything was justified, all that stuff. A couple months later, I had another shooting where it was chased. I mean, that's Frank. He had one right around the same time,
Mm-hmm.
It was pretty crazy around those years. So
that would be the one Frank was outside of the Dunkin' Donuts in the nightclub.
Yeah, Frank had that one.
Yeah, that was a scary call. We all got that call I remember I was at Old Country Buffet on a Sunday morning, and I got the call. And he had ducked down behind some barrels, and that was like the only thing that saved him. But he had messed up his ankle, and that was a pretty scary call.
Yeah, that was a pretty crazy night there. I actually wasn't there. I just heard about it, but I had something just about the same. Well, kind of. It started at the same area, same club down there. I'm not going to mention any names. And then early in the night there was a big fight, and then a couple hours later there was we were at a B&E call, myself and Keith Shanks, and heard gunshots. Keith ran towards him. I drove the car towards him, and ended up chasing him from there with Eddie Cruikshank and Tom Highland. We chased him from Brockton, into Avon 24, 24 to 93, 93 into Quincy. Once we got in Quincy, shooting started. Someone else returned fire, and I ended up hitting him off the side of the road one way where it looked like they had dropping the gun. Hit him in another way and crashed into a house. Into a caravan, a house and a car. A shed. So I didn't realize how banged up I was at the time. But I got out. The kid was reaching into the middle of things, broke the window, pulled him out. But I got, afterwards I was kind of banged up and just doctors started feeding me painkillers, man. My doctor, the VA, and at that time they weren't on the same system, so I was getting them from both places. Like they would just hand them to me like they were candy. Between that and benzos, and that was my doctor, man. The painkillers went from 5 milligram perks to 10 to 30 milligram perks, and that just killed me.
Yeah, we discussed that. We discussed that type of stuff on this show. How people end up with this, into this horrible circle of doctors prescribing, and then when they cut them off, they end up, addicted or whatever problems that they have. And I've always blamed it on pharmaceutical companies first and foremost. This addiction.
Yeah, man, they were shoving them to us, I couldn't believe how many. Like even my wife at the time was like, "Man, where are you getting all these?" I was on like 5 or 6 different types of medications. Yeah. PTSD stuff from the military, PTSD, anxiety, all that crap. They diagnosed you with everything from there to there,
Right.
At the time, the protocols weren't too good as far as the stuff. Protocols, you can talk to Frank about it, was a 3-day, 4-day, take your gun, and then you're good,
Right.
That's basically what that's all they did. So, stuff caught up to me mentally from, being overseas, the war and stuff, and then everything as far as the police department. I had a lot of things go on, and then there was a real bad incident on the east side. Was like my breaking point, man. Young girl got killed, got shot in the head, and that was myself and
good God.
A few other people had a lot of bad things from that, and so from then on, my stuff just went downhill, man. It got to the point where I depleted bank accounts, I depleted, savings bonds, you name it. My wife had no idea too because she was oblivious. She had no idea, what was going on with me.
Wow.
Got a couple things from a couple guys at the station that I think they knew, and next thing you know, I got in trouble for doing some things I shouldn't have done. They kind of painted me as a monster, but I really wasn't doing the way they were saying I was doing. I'd taken some money from some people that were probably just as bad, if not worse, to me, but I shouldn't have done it.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a rough couple of years after that, man. They ended up charging me. I got charged with 15 counts in Superior Court. So I took my lickings like a man. I got 2.5 years, and I did some jail time. I did 15 months on it. Got home. Everything was great. My mother passed away. It was just like life, man. It was up and down for a while. And after that, I was kind of banged up for a little while, but I went to a detox. And the thing that saved my life, I say to this day, is at that time, I think my son was probably 8 years old, my youngest. And when I went away, they had told my kids like I was overseas. I was in the Army. They didn't tell them, where I was. It was embarrassing, And so my son came to see me detox. He was having some issues in school, and when my wife left with him, he had said, she said, "Hey, do you know where Daddy is?" And he was like, "Yeah, he's in jail." And you know what, man, that just broke my heart.
Right.
I said, I can't have my kids, even my baby, that can say stuff like this. So, I picked myself up. I got into one of the best programs ever, Veterans Court. Actually, Judge out of Norfolk, Judge Stapleton, saw something in me and knew what was going on, man. And he put me in Veterans Court instead of locking me up. And Veterans Court is just like the drug court, where they just watch you for, I think I was in there for like a year and a half, man. Then I took care of every program the VA afforded me through PTSD and all those programs. And I just got my life back together. And, at the end, I started taking just, minuscule jobs. I was delivering furniture like the 4th floor in Dorchester and stuff, and for like real bum ass companies. And got myself together. I got a real humbling job as a housekeeper at the VA.
Wow.
Government job, but I went from being overseas to a police officer to being a housekeeper, man. Like, talk about humbling, So I did that for a while, and the good thing about that, a lot of people, man, and a lot of people liked me and saw where I was and saw my story. And, you know, I mean, through the whole thing, God forbid, you know, my wife kept my family together in my house. And at the time, actually, I had adopted my wife's 2 kids. So, like, when I first had children, I had 1 child. Then I had 3 because I adopted her 2 kids from a prior marriage, and then we had a child together. So I had 4 kids in, like, 2 years, you know. So she kept stuff together. So I got my stuff back together. You know, I owe her a lot for that. But the housekeeping position, you know, I ended up having a buddy that worked at the federal building in Providence. And I put all my stuff in, and I had to get cleared by the feds, basically, tell them everything I did and all that. And, you know, I had letters of recommendation of what type of person I was from doctors and everybody. And they gave me a chance, man. And now, I mean, I started off as, you know, GS-15 is as high as you can get in the government for an executive level. And I started off as GS-6, and now within 3 years, I'll be a GS-10 at the end of the month. And, you know, by the grace of God and just, you know, being blessed, I'm actually a veteran service representative.
Holy
for
shit.
The Providence VA, and there's more. I have another title on top of it. I'm actually the Veterans Homeless Coordinator for all of Rhode Island and Southern Massachusetts.
Holy, oh my, yo. I don't usually like to drop F-bombs, but holy fucking shit. Look, when Mike Smith, the promoter, hit me up and said he had a fighter coming on the show, I expected, you know, a fighter to come on, talk about the usual stuff, and you usually hear, you know, stuff about their life, but I don't think anybody sitting here right now from R Squared to Ken, we're in our chat, and it's like, what the, oh my God, this is great radio, good stuff, and I commend you, sir.
Thank you, man. I appreciate it. Yeah, that was kind of like the gist of. There's a lot more, obviously, but you know, just since then, and the whole fight thing just happened because my wife's cousin, he had an issue, not with me, but issue with the family. And I mean, I'd have to, with that job, man. I'm a computer guy now. You know, I went from working out to being okay in shape to, you know, getting fat and got in a motorcycle accident right before Thanksgiving. Real bad motorcycle. I almost lost my leg.
Oh shit.
And he started, you know, he did a lot of bad things to some family members. But he was actually, you know, it's part for the course. He was drinking. He had drug issues also in recovery as I am. But you know, and we kind of let him get away with it for a long time, and no one said anything. But one night, you know, a family member with social media, of course, put something up. His family member retorted, and then my wife went into there, and basically I was in Boston at a program. I'm going through a vocal rehabilitation program where the state and the government puts together so I can get a job after I retire that's suitable, because I'm 100% disabled from the military, but workable. And something suitable to basically put me back, because I mean I had almost had a criminal justice. I was just short of my bachelor's, and it's not going to do me any good anymore, man. So I'm actually going back to school for project management, and so I'm going through that. And so I got a call from my wife. Her grandma was freaking out, crying that, you know, some guy called and threatened to kill my wife and family if my wife didn't take down her posts. So, you know, I got mad, flipped out, tried to get a hold of this kid, you know, did things I shouldn't have done because of the whole thing, you know, trying to get him. And finally got him on the phone, and, you know, after he talked a lot of crap on social media, and, you know, and finally got him on the phone, and basically just told him what I was going to do to him. You know, you don't threaten my wife and kids. It's, you know, it's my wife, my kids, and my country. Those are things that mean the most to me in my world, you know? And so I told him I was going to do to him, you know, told him I'm going to catch him, and he wouldn't fight me. I said, you know, let's just bang it out in the backyard like men, man. Just let's bang it out. Let's get this done. And he wouldn't. I absolutely won't fight. I'm tipping the scales at 297 pounds. I just got lazy after my accident. 6'1", almost 300 pounds. So I, you know, he just kept running his mouth. He wouldn't fight me, and he challenged me in this boxing match. So I was like, well, you know, no, I'm not a boxer. You know, I've done some jiu-jitsu. I've done this and that, but you know, I can street fight, but I've never boxed in a ring. You know, I always had a respect for it, but it never did anything for me. So he just kept running his mouth about it. And, you know, the only way I was going to get to cave this kid's skull was to fight him in the ring, you know? So I took the challenge, and my knee at this time was so swollen, it was above my knee to my thigh, black and blue. I limped. I had a knee brace, so I took the knee brace off. I wrapped it up with an ace bandage, started training, man, and hit it hard. I called a couple buddies of mine. There's a kid that's a 4-time Golden Glove champion, and has had a couple national championships. And Joe Schiavone, real good friend of mine, and I told him, and he knew both me and my opponent Chad, and I said, listen, this is what's got to be done. He goes, well, dude, you can probably beat him in the street. He goes, but you got to change that diet. So that next day, he gave me a diet. I switched it up. I changed my whole lifestyle. All I eat is vegetables and fish 5 times a day. I do cardio, I box, and from December 7th at 297 to January 1st, I went from 297 to 255.
Wow.
So,
just crazy stuff.
Been hitting it. Been hitting it hard, man.
So what night's the fight and where's it at?
It's February 17th. So when I took the fight, I thought it was going to be at like the War Memorial, something small like that.
Yeah.
But now it's at the West Warwick Civic Center, man. February 17th. It's tickets. I have tickets. All the other fighters have tickets. I actually, when people find out I was fighting, because a lot of people don't like this person, I had sponsors coming to me as not even an amateur with a book. I have 5 different sponsoring companies sponsoring me.
Wow.
So I took the sponsorship money. I made T-shirts. Because to fight this kid, I got to buy all the equipment. I got to buy the license and medical, all that stuff. It's not cheap. So I basically, I sell the T-shirts. I got a bunch of those up. They came out real good, man. If anyone wants to see them, they're on my web, my Facebook. I don't make any money off the T-shirts. The money from the T-shirts just go to my equipment. I didn't make anything. But it was a way to get the sponsors' names out, because their names are on my shirt. So for helping me out. But yeah, man, it's gonna be a good fight. There's a couple chicks. There's a chick fight. 2 girls that really don't like each other. They're gonna bang it out. Really this girl Megan Lisenby. She's a Brockton girl too, man.
Nice. Because Mike Smith is doing some big things for the city of Brockton. He's running into some issues with having events, because Brockton's real picky about who they give licenses to, and then they have this thing where they give people licenses, and then all of a sudden they want to take the licenses back. So for all promoters here in Brockton, it's real hard to get an event going off as far as the city council and stuff like that goes. But look, Guy, man, I'm so glad you came on the show, and I don't think anybody of us was expecting this, but you know what? I'm going to be rooting for you come February.
Thank you, man.
Keep going and keep that life going the way it's going right now. I think I'm gonna let everybody just chime in here. R Squared, you got something to say? Because we're all in the chat like, holy shit.
Yeah, no, this is good stuff. Keep it going. You turned your life around. It's a great story. It's inspirational to people. Keep it up.
Ken, you're a defense attorney. Ken, this is a guy that you would probably say, look, I wish all my freaking guys that come through my office listen to people like you.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I have, one of the things that we're dealing with in our court is a lot of people with veterans come through with this type of issue who are not getting treatment. Matter of fact, I'm part of a program that deals with finding veterans and getting them connected with veteran services, because the homeless rate among veterans is the highest it's ever been in the country's history.
Yeah, it's ridiculous, man. Like I told you, I do homeless claims. I do a lot of outreach, like stand downs, and you'll find me at either I'll either go to the Brockton VA, and I'll have a couple guys every once in a while come up, and I'll help them like set up their whole claim, put it through, or I'll go even like Starbucks and sit down with people that just in around here, and I try to put it out there, whoever needs my help. Sometimes it gets wrapped up because I'm getting 10, 15 calls, plus I got to do my work, during the day. But as much as I can, if you ever need help, I get a friend too that I ride with that he actually goes into the woods, man, and finds homeless veterans and brings them back to the church and like sets them up and tries to get them like back into life, man. He's a real good guy.
Man, we would have loved to have had you back in December when we fed the homeless at our event, Gift of Giving, where we fed close to 300 homeless people, and the majority of those people were veterans. When we heard their stories that had come through there, and it's just a great thing to do for them every year. And man, my heart, man, I'm an instant fan.
Yeah.
I just hope everything goes well for you in February. We'll be rooting for you big time. And wow, just great stuff.
Yeah, man. I thank you. I got a real good camp, man. I got Joe Schiavone behind me. I have Joe Enos, who's trained half the real good fighters around here in Brockton, and now I actually just linked up with Sean Schubert down at Red Steel. So Sean's an animal, man.
So before we let you go, I got to ask you this, man. If you take this win and you like this, is this something that you think you may stay in and transition, or maybe even move into MMA, or what do you think? I mean, you're at that age where you may still be able to get a couple of good fights out of you.
Yeah, man. My wife even told me today, like when I came home, she just said, the PTSD and anyone that has those issues, life gets tough sometimes. It gets lonely, even though you have people around, you're depressed. And she even said, since I started this, I've been a different person. It just, I've found a whole new respect for this. I'm definitely going to fight this fight with all my heart and soul. But, I've been offered, like, the next Brawl for it all, that one after it, because they're doing TV shows, and they're trying to get me in with the vice president of MTV and other stuff. And there's a lot of stuff going from this, man, a couple of different pilots and stuff. So they're trying to get a book deal for me. So I got a lot of things going with this. But as far as boxing goes, I'm definitely going to keep training. Maybe do some smokers, but I don't know yet about going on to masters. I mean, masters, they have masters, golden gloves and stuff. My trainers have said that, but it's all how the family feels too. It's taken a lot. Like, legitimately, I work at least 10-hour days, sometimes 12. I'm training 2 to 3 hours a day, taking the kids to Muay Thai, because my 2 younger kids do Muay Thai also.
Nice. That's a good sport.
At Bishop's in West Bridgewater, amazing place over there. But, it just really takes a lot, especially getting ready for a fight. Like, my wife's dead ass sick on the couch, and I feel horrible. But, like, I just did a TV show just now. It's called The Juice. It's on CCon Channel 9. I was just leaving that. That'll be on my page. Be up, actually, if you go to wickedlocalrhodeisland.com, Wicked Local Rhode Island on Facebook. If you like that page, you can just see what we did. That's coming up, CCon Channel 9, The Juice, Jared Tillinghast, and Rich Capiello. It just came from there. But, like, I got a lot of things coming on. I guess Mike's got some stuff set up next week. But I'm really going to stay with this boxing thing, man. I truly, like, it's pretty good, man. It's life-changing. Diet alone, everything going on. It's awesome.
Nice. So we'll keep in touch with you, man. And I think we're going to bring you back on. And I got a guy, Travis Partington, who has a show called Oscar Mike Radio that is built for guys just like you, veterans just like you. And he has a big following with veterans, and I think your story is just amazing. I think I'm going to hook you up with him. But, man, I thank you for coming on the show. Real quick, plug your event one more time before we let you go, man.
Say again, I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, bro.
Plug your event real quick again before we let you go.
Yeah, I mean, it's called Brawl for It All 5. It's at, sorry, my voice is losing. Brawl for It All 5, February 17th, West Warwick, Rhode Island, the Coleman event. And it's going to be crazy. There's like 10 fights, there's music, there's intermission, there's, they have best ring entrance for us, gets a 5-star resort of their choice. So it's going to be entertaining, man. It's going to be a good time. February 17th, check it out. You need tickets, yeah.
Okay, man, cool. That's Mike Darrah. Support him. Follow him on Facebook. I already sent him a friend request, and I'm going to be keeping an eye on him. And, man, hey, thanks for calling in tonight.
Thanks, man. Thanks for having me. I appreciate it. Frank, see you soon, brother.
Yeah, most definitely. Take it easy.
All right, take care, Mike.
Bye,
All right.
Bye.
Wow, I was not expecting that call like that at all. Unbelievable. Amazing story. He didn't pull any punches. He told us everything. He told us why he lost his job. He told us he was straightforward. And I think that's the key to turning your life around, is being able to accept and admitting your faults and moving forward. I think a lot of people need to just take that story. Holy Christ, that's unbelievable story. So we got a lot more stuff to talk about. Frank's going to hang in here with us. We got the Patriots on the way to the Super Bowl. I actually just got a post from Mark LaRock, who's a writer for the Enterprise. He actually wrote a story and just released it on the Enterprise about my story today about the bet about the Rocky statues. We're awaiting the answer from Jim Kenney, who is the mayor of Philadelphia. They give an answer to Mayor Carpenter about the bet that I put forth this morning. Waiting to see that, but that story is in the Enterprise today. If you want to see it, check it out online. As you guys know, the Patriots are headed to their 10th Super Bowl against the Philadelphia Eagles, which has turned our house upside down because Ken and Frank, you both know that my son Tyreek is a big Eagles fan for the longest time. Frank, Ken busted his balls the last time when the Patriots went to the Super Bowl, and Ty was only like 6 or 7, and these guys were still harassing him when they went to the Super Bowl against the Eagles back then. Terrell was, Ty was a big Terrell Owens fan who played his ass off in that game here. But really not much to talk about this weekend because we really want to save next week's show for the Super Bowl. But let's just break down these past weekend's games real quick. The Patriots game, I was never worried at all in this game. The only thing that I was happy with was the hit on Gronk. And it was a pretty scary moment because when he did get up, you did see his lips say he didn't know where he was. And that was a scary moment, and that's why he went right to the locker room. That was a scary.
Yeah, one thing is, did you notice the refs were not calling anything prior to Gronk getting hit, and all of a sudden, after Gronk gets hit, they start slamming people around.
And here's the thing: it was helmet to helmet. I got it. Was it deliberate? I
don't think so.
Please.
No, I don't think so.
It was clearly deliberate. If it wasn't deliberate, he needs to get thrown out of the game because he's an idiot.
So
no, it wasn't.
I mean,
he took the flag. And Gronk came out, and you know what? He's got.
I mean, even what's his face admitted it was not a good thing to do at the halftime. What's it? Come on, please. My brain's turning to mush.
Romo?
Yeah. No, not Romo.
Mike.
Jaguars head coach. Doug
Marrone. Yeah, he said it was a good penalty, and it was. It was a 15-yard penalty, but I don't think he targeted him. I think that's unfortunately these guys are prepared to play Bronk a certain way, and of course there was a lot of movement going on. It wasn't like they knew exactly how to line up. So I don't think there's evidence that he did it on purpose, but it was a damn good 15-yard penalty, that's for sure.
Yeah,
it was just the way he was coming in. Like somebody said, well, why didn't you try? What about the midsection? He would have missed him if he if he tackled him in the midsection. If he tackles him in the knees, we all know it's a cheap shot because we know he has knee problems. If he tackles in the midsection, he probably misses the tackle anyway, and Gronk still catches the football.
Yeah, Gronk usually tosses guys off when they go for the midsection.
And the other thing, and the only other thing was to get him high. And it just so happens that the helmet's touched. I mean, it's just, it's an unfortunate part of the game. It's an unfortunate thing. It happens sometimes.
Yeah, it wasn't like he speared him and set him up. It was
he wasn't being dirty about it. It was just, it's a, like he said, it's a rule. He got penalized for it, and that's it. It's just, but that's the only way he could play that. Play that play.
Yeah,
it's just too tough. He doesn't go down.
Yeah. So
that's the problem.
Well, we got that because Stephen Gilmore made look. Everybody complained about the money they paid Stephen Gilmore for. Look, the money that they paid Stephen Gilmore for was for that one play he made on 4th and 19. That's the play. That's everything he did all season. All the stuff he pissed people off about. That's all irrelevant because that play he made to knock that 4th and 14 pass down, that would have been a 6 points easy. That's what they paid him for. Yeah. That's exactly the type of money. We don't care what you do all season. When we get to the playoffs and the AFC Championship and the plays on the line, that I don't think I've ever seen a defensive play that good on the Patriots in defense in a long time. And Stephen Gilmore definitely pulled it up and knocked it out the park. R-Squared, you had something to add to that?
No, I was agreeing with what was said.
But come on. James Harrison,
he made the difference.
That guy's been on fire. I don't know.
He had 3 tackles, and he had there was something else he had there.
Yeah, he had that sack on the 1-yard line.
He had the sack. Yep. So and this goes back to what we talked about with Mike Tomlin, where if the Pittsburgh Steelers fans have to sit back and watch this guy get a ring, somebody in Pittsburgh has to answer for this. Somebody has to answer for it because it to me it goes down. And Frank, we haven't had you on the show because this succession has come up quite a bit. If you are the head coach, there's no way you let a player like this go in Week 16. Just let him walk away.
The problem with the Pittsburgh Steelers is their head coach. You get rid of the head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers, get another head coach, and that team turns itself. He is not a head coach.
And I like Mike Tomlin.
He's not a good head coach. He's good at certain things, but a head coach has to be he has to be up on all aspects of the football game, and he's not. He's a defensive guy. He'll tell you he's a defensive guy, and that's just it. When it comes to offense, he has nothing to do with the offense. I mean, just watch it. He'll just sit there and listen. He'll have nothing to add. Headset. He's a defensive guy. He might be a great defensive coordinator for somebody, but he's not ready to be a head coach.
Yeah, he's been in that position for a long time. So, again, the Patriots are off to their 10th Super Bowl, and they're going to Minnesota to take on the Philadelphia Eagles, who blew out the Minnesota Vikings. I was not expecting – I mean, we all knew the Eagles was going to win, but it was like total dominance.
Yeah.
It was almost like they weren't even missing Carson Wentz.
The Eagles won. Yeah.
I was happy for.
No, I'm just saying.
Foles.
I'm happy. I'm happy that they won, just because I don't have to listen to this whole week. You don't have to listen to about how Minnesota's the first NFL team ever to get a home field on the Super Bowl. So I'm just happy that we're playing Philly.
Wait a minute, hold on. Squid, if I'm not mistaken, wasn't Ken the one that picked the Vikings? Didn't he pick the Vikings over the? And me and you just went with the Eagles last week?
No, I did. I picked the Vikings, but
okay.
I had said that I thought the Vikings would win in a close one because the Eagles had just not been playing up to their normal standards, and you guys kept arguing that they didn't have a very strong schedule. So you put those two things together, and a Vikings team that was had some momentum, I thought was going to go into Philadelphia and win. And the weather conditions weren't too outrageous, so the conditions were okay. They scored first, and it looked like it was going to be a close game. I don't know what the hell happened to the Vikings. I mean, that was one of the biggest.
All three of us said the game was going to be close. We all said it was not going to be a blowout.
I'm going to tell you what. I totally thought it was going to be a close one too. If not, maybe the Minnesota might actually pull it out, because there was just, it just seemed, it was just working on all. It was going great, this backup quarterback who the head coach is just waiting for him to screw up to take out, never screwed up and just kept going. And so I thought maybe they could have pulled it out too. But I also, the Jaguars, going back to the Patriots, the Jaguars and the Patriots, I wanted this matchup, but then after they beat Pittsburgh, I sat there and I was like, I don't know. This Jaguars team might be something to have to deal with. And then, they were, man. There was something to have to deal with. Hold on a second. Jeez, I just ignored it.
I'm like Star Wars.
But yeah,
I thought it was Keith playing you out.
It's the Darth Vader Death Mask. It's the wife trying to call.
So anyway, is that your ringtone?
It's the Screen Actor Guild's wrapped up music.
Yeah. So I'll be quick. I'll be quick. So, anyway, I thought it was going to be a close one. I didn't think it was going to be this close. I didn't think we were going to be down most of the game, but,
there they go. The orchestra again. There they go.
All right, I'm done. Thank you.
Oh, my God, I'm dying here. Oh, my God. So the Patriots are on their way, and here's where you feel bad for the Philadelphia Eagles. We're both blue-collar towns. We're both heading to Minnesota, but here's the problem. The Patriots are going to Minnesota, and guess who's from Minnesota? His freaking mother, who's battling cancer right now. That whole stadium is going to be Tom Brady fans for his mother because she's so well known in Minnesota. So it's going to be like a home game. I don't know.
No, not even close. For God's sake, okay. This guy's crazy, okay?
Go ahead.
You realize what the hell's going on? Am I hearing music? It's like, am I having an out-of-body experience?
It's Frank's phone.
Okay. You don't know, the NFL controls every single ticket to the Super Bowl. Okay? They give a certain amount to the Patriots, a certain amount to the Eagles. Equal amount.
Yep.
And then the NFL gives out to other people. So,
well, no. The season ticket holders get first dibs first before the sale tickets go.
Not all. No. They get a certain amount.
Yes, they do, but they get a majority amount.
No, they don't. No, they don't. 5%.
Huh?
They get 5%.
Oh, it's more than 5%. Trust
No,
me.
it's 5%. ESPN did a whole story on this. I know because my brother worked on it about how a lot of people who there's a big problem because Minnesota bid to get the Super Bowl a couple years ago, and at that time it was 20% season ticket holders. The NFL then changed it to 5%, which they can do in their contract. And the people in Minnesota were really pissed off because, wait a minute, we had to do a lot of things to get the NFL to come.
Mm-hmm.
The idea was
it's a big bid process to get them to come. Yes.
So there's a big lot of things that they think they're accusing the NFL of screwing, doing a bait and switch.
Mm-hmm.
Because what the NFL is using these tickets for is a lot of they are what do you want to call it? Pay for play stuff, comping some of their biggest advertisers because the NFL's advertising revenue is going down. So they've been using this as to give out a lot more tickets to their advertisers, and that's why they're pissed.
Well, we'll see because it's going to be a big ass game, and I'm still saying Tom Brady fans are going to be in attendance because his mom's going to be there, and it should be an amazing game. But we're going to break this whole game down. We're not going to spend too much time on it this week because we're going to break this whole thing down next week. I'm going to have some special guests come on. So we're at 8:04. We had some stuff go down. That I got to get Ken in here on. I posted a video on my Facebook page, and it was actually shared by the Occupy Democrats Facebook page. It was this video of ICE on a bus in Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
No, it was CP. Okay, stop, please. It wasn't ICE. It was Customs and Border Protection.
Yep, and I saw an ICE shirt in that video also.
The guy who was doing it is CPB.
Yep, and there was another gentleman I swore with an ICE shirt, black and white.
Right, but that was
in front of the bus.
Yeah, but that was not the guy doing the arresting. That's important. I'll explain that why it's later.
Okay, but again, so what's going on here is that they were checking people's papers on a bus, which is not needed for bus travel. Now, there's been this rumors that you're going to need passports for domestic airplane travel that's coming up. The issue here is that, this is a violation of people's rights. And it started this whole debate on my page about, well, we don't know what happened prior to this. We don't know if there was somebody that they were searching for on the bus, which we don't. We know all this stuff. And this was being debated by Matt Palkus and all these people on my page. My feeling was at the end of the day, some people were upset because Occupy Democrats said that this was Trump's America. And some people saying, well, they were doing this long before Trump, but I said, well, to be honest, you can't the numbers, and if the numbers of these type of things that are going on is up higher, because Trump did meet with Border Patrol and tell these guys to ramp it up and amp it up and do all this extra stuff now, if that's the case, then you can point that finger at Trump and say, well, Trump's the one that told these guys to start ramping up these type of things, but Ken and R Squared, you both said that, these are actually highly illegal. This is against the rights of America. And I know Ken's been chomping at the bit to get in here, but so I want R Squared to go first, and then I'm going to let Ken loose.
No, I'm going to defer to Ken, and then I'll come in because I may have something different to say.
Okay, go ahead, Ken. Let it go.
Okay, let's start off with some basic questions. Okay, now, these are all trick questions. I'm going to warn you, okay? I need you to give me the answer. What country does Florida border?
It doesn't border Mexico. It borders the ocean, Atlantic.
Okay. All right. Is overstaying your visa a criminal offense?
Yes.
I'm going to say I don't know.
Okay. All right. Wrong. It's a civil infraction. Nice try. Florida doesn't border any country, and it's a civil infraction. Do police officers have the right to demand identification, federal or state?
Do they have a right to demand or ask?
Demand, not ask. They have a right to ask. But can they compel you to show identification absent probable cause that you've committed a criminal offense?
I'll let you answer it. I'm not going to make myself look like an idiot. I should second answer.
Okay.
I thought he was asking Frank.
You're asking me. I didn't know. I'd say no. You can ask.
Frank's right.
You got to be.
Okay.
Right.
Let me explain what the problem was. Customs and Border Protection is allowed to operate within 100 miles of the U.S. border. Okay? The U.S. has 3 borders. They have the Alaskan border between Alaska and Canada. We have the American-Canadian border, which starts in Washington State, and goes to Maine. And we have the Mexican border. Okay?
Well, okay.
That's it. CPB's
Right,
got to be 100 miles within those borders. The ocean doesn't count because, under international law, a border is defined as the area that connects 2 adjoining countries. Number 1. Number 2, you can't ask people's papers. That's highly illegal. Okay?
You can't ask for their immigration papers?
Ask for them absent. There's something called the terrorist. They can ask you if they believe you're about to commit a crime, about to commit a crime, or have just committed a crime.
Right.
It's Terry versus Ohio.
Right.
Okay?
So absent any crime being present, or you being you really don't have the right to ask anybody.
And
it's more an investigative thing than it is.
And number 3, overstaying your visa is a civil infraction, not criminal. Because
you see a lot of people debating this on Facebook because a lot of people are saying that it's illegal and that's why they're illegal aliens. You've expressed this before and said no, they're not. It's a civil infraction, so it's not really illegal.
No, it's not really. Legal is 1 or 0. It's not a criminal offense. Now, here's the important thing. Under the Obama administration, had a policy not to only use CPB in criminal investigations to do this when there was criminal activity. The Trump administration changed that. They are doing these sweeps and going on to buses. And here's the thing: they don't do this in northern states. They only do them in southern states. Now,
really?
What do you think that is?
I don't know. Laws are more lenient. I have no idea.
Why?
Because they're red states down there.
No, because there are a lot more Hispanics in the South than there are in the North.
See, now I would think, you have Cubans and Haitians. Cubans and Haitians in
Cubans, dark-skinned individuals. You don't see a lot of Haitians, Cubans, Mexicans, El Salvadorians in Vermont or Maine or northern New Hampshire.
Too damn cold. Why would you want to go there?
Well, I have a friend that was in this thread that we were talking in, a friend Mike Jordan, and he says these things do happen up on the New Hampshire border. He said these type of checks. He said they've been doing it for years up on the New Hampshire border. So that might be people coming in and out of Canada, which was
no. They do them no, let me explain to you. There's only one place where they have the absolute right to demand your papers, and that's at border crossings or ports of entries.
Mm-hmm.
And they do them on commercial buses, which is fine. You cross the border, you're there. They can do that.
Mm-hmm.
That's what he's talking about. But they don't do it 100 miles away.
Got it. Okay. So, Squid?
I agree with a lot of what Diesel put out, legally and factually and all that. When it comes to this particular issue, I'm very uncomfortable because I don't think that we have the complete picture. I don't trust the video, and I don't think that we know a lot of what was going on. We're making, not we, but people who are commenting on it on social media are making a lot of uninformed assumptions. Not us, but the general masses who are spreading all kinds of stuff. So I can't speak about it, and I won't, but I'll share my thoughts generally on it. When I first saw it, I was thinking that this is more like law enforcement's inspection authority because it's the same authority that they can use for drunk driving, those checkpoints that they do and things like that. I know on military installations we do checkpoints on a regular basis where law enforcement just sets up at an intersection and they stop every third car, every fourth car, whatever it's going to be. They inspect every car, with the dogs, whatever else. And if you get caught, you get caught with something, and that's the way it is if you're on federal property. So, there is authority to do these type of inspections that don't require probable cause. They just require a standard operating procedure and equal treatment for everybody involved. Now, it doesn't mean that I'm comfortable with what we're looking at, but I think that there's a lot more to this, and I don't know what we don't know to understand exactly what this was. I don't necessarily agree with some of the changes that the Trump administration has put in on these things, and their motivation certainly is questionable as far as the racial component goes. So those types of things make me uncomfortable, and I think that there ought to be a close look at what they're doing. But then on the other side is you started off by asking who do you blame for this. You know who I blame? I blame Congress for this, because we have had decades of false attempts in the Congress that one leader or another won't put up for a vote, and we haven't fixed a broken immigration policy for a long time. And so we have a hopelessly broken immigration system. I'm not sure that we have the right president to fix it at the moment, but let's first see if Congress can freaking get off their asses and pass something. You have the damn DACA thing, which has 90% approval. They can't even pass that, let alone some kind of comprehensive immigration thing that we need. I don't know what the final legislation would look like. I can't tell you that I know all the right answers for it, but I know that we desperately need it. And without that, it's very, very hard to figure out what's going on, because until we can update these things, and we're woefully out of date and whatever else is wrong, but we do have a lot of people that are in this country, adults who came to this country in violation of immigration laws, in part because they're not very well written, and all the problems we have in everything else, and we have to be able to do something about that. But I blame Congress for not fixing it, because we need to fix it. We need the right standards. We need to know what's going on so that we can hold law enforcement accountable as well.
Good stuff. Frank, did you want to add to it? Frank?
No, I agree with everything. Yeah, can you hear me?
Mm-hmm. Yep.
Oh, God.
Yeah, we can hear you.
We can hear you, Frank. You're doing great. Frank, you still there?
Frank, you there? We can hear you. We can hear you perfectly.
All right. If you can hear me, I'm messing around with the mute thing. Okay, so you guys can hear me now.
Yeah,
I agree with what
I
Square said. Okay, I understand. I agree with what Square said. I think we have a very flawed immigration policy. This whole DACA thing. I'm one of these people. My issue is this. If people want to come to I have no problem with people coming to this country. You know what I'm saying? But do it legally. Don't come over here illegal. If you are an illegal immigrant, you should have no rights here. And unfortunately, there are certain people in Congress that think that they should have every right to that we have. And that's not they shouldn't. And I think that's what this whole DACA thing is all about too. Is these people came over, had kids. Now actually, the people that were illegal immigrants here in the United States and had kids, their kids are actually United States.
Well, they're saying they're not. Well, they're saying they're not. So
they are, because they were born here. So wherever country you were born in is the country that you become a citizen of. So that I don't even understand what this whole to that case. I have no idea what this whole DACA thing's all about.
Some of these dreamers are now they're in their 20s. They're productive. I saw a statistic that said 98% of the DACAs, if none of them have got a record or a jail sentence, they've all been working. They've all been productive people of the society. So the program has been a huge success. Vicente Fox, the former president of Mexico, said that Trump was crazy to try to dismantle this program. He says they would have loved to have had this DACA program in Mexico. So that speaks very highly of this program and what it's done here for those people who were involved in it. It gave these people hope. It's like him turning around and sending those from Haiti and El Salvador back who were here because their countries were destroyed from an earthquake and mudslides, and they've made their lives here, and now these people are going to be forced back to their countries. And there are a lot of those people that they've been here, they've been productive, they haven't done anything to deserve it other than they're stuck in this red tape snafu, and it's kind of a real tough situation, and we'll see. It's going to be very interesting as to how this progresses. We're over a little bit. I got to get a couple of things in here. Government shutdown. They shut down for the weekend, got back. They wanted to keep it going for another 3 weeks. It was passed, and everybody's all feeling happy and all that. But again, it's only 3 weeks, people. That 3 weeks is going to go by real quick. I'm going to let R-Squared chime in on here. What do you think is going to happen in 3 weeks?
Well, it's interesting. A lot of it is going to depend on whether Mitch McConnell sticks to the verbal deal because it was never reduced to writing. I think that they had no choice but to vote in favor of the resolution when he made those representations because the Democratic Party was losing big time on this. The base may have been mad, but they were losing on a national basis. And if they think there's going to be a blue wave in November, there was not going to be a blue wave if they got blamed for this thing for much longer. So they had no choice but to do that. McConnell knew what he was doing. He's a very shrewd politician. He's been doing this for many years. I don't like him or trust him necessarily, but he's shrewd and he knew exactly what he was doing, and he used the exact words he needed to use to force the Democrats to support the bill. And enough of them would have, so Schumer did the right thing and make it a leadership thing as if there was an agreement. So my point is, if McConnell and, what do they say, trust and verify, we're using nuclear weapons inspections now terminology, but if he keeps his word, and if they don't get to fix all this, during this debate, he did promise that there would be a neutral bill that comes up. In other words, the Democrats and the Republicans can all draft it, can all put amendments in, can all debate and vote on it, and it will get voted on the floor. It won't be one of those ones where he, as the majority leader, can simply refuse to let legislation go the way that he normally does. And Harry Reid did it sometimes too, and Paul Ryan does it on the House side. This is a flaw in our system. It's not limited to this particular iteration. But anyway, he's made a guarantee that he said publicly on the floor of the Senate, the American people all heard it, that he has assured everybody that there would be a proper, going back to normal procedures, which we have not had in many years, to do this. So if that's the case, then there will at least be a bill, there will at least be everybody's voice heard, and there will at least be a vote on it. Now, if the House doesn't pass it, that's going to be a problem, and hopefully then that becomes a campaign issue for 2018 and 2020. And because you have to remember, it was a big part of the 2016 election, and, people had some pretty strange views, and this is what happened. So if people care about DACA like the polls suggest, then they'll hold it against the Republicans if they vote it down, especially Paul Ryan and the Freedom Caucus people. So let's see what happens. But we now have to wait 3 weeks. The Congress owes it to the American people to pass a frickin' budget finally, first time in over 10 years. There's so many problems. People don't understand how complicated it is when we don't have a budget. We need a damn budget no matter what. And then we need to address these other issues. And I think we'll have to hold McConnell's feet to the fire.
Ken?
Well, I agree with everything R squared. I think McConnell will do it because he's playing with House money. Mm-hmm. Because he can say, look, I reopened the government, I'll give a vote, because he knows it's not going to get past the House. Ryan has already said there will be no immigration reform bill while he's Speaker. He said that already. Trump has already said he's not going to sign it, even if it comes to him. So McConnell's playing with House money. He can bring the bill to a vote. Even if it passes, he knows it's not going any place. This is going to be a problem for the Republicans because Republicans poll very badly on immigration, and there's a lot more support for some type of immigration reform. No one knows what it's going to look like. Trump's already said that he wants this border wall, and the minority leader has already said you're not going to get it. So he's already throwing down the gauntlet. So in 3 weeks from now, I think we're going to be back to the same place. However, the issue won't be there for the Democrats because, at least in the Senate, because they're going to – McConnell can go, hey, I promised you a vote on DACA. We had a vote on DACA. Hell, it even passed. I did everything I can do. You have a problem, talk to Paul Ryan in the House. Mm-hmm. So I think we're going to get a budget next time around only because everybody had to vent their spleen. Everybody had to make nice to their base, and now there's nothing left to argue about. And there's going to be a budget, and there's going to be a bloody one. And then, strap yourselves in, boys and girls, because it's about to get rough.
Yeah, it's a very interesting year, and we'll see. Like I said, I'm not going to get myself up in arms, but guess what, people? You've got a 3-week reprieve. Guess what? If your W-2s came in, don't sit back and waste time. Get that shit in. Because if the government closes down and they shut the IRS down, you're not getting your taxes back. So if your W-2s are in, get on H&R Block or whatever you got, Tax Act or what, get them in now. Get that check back to you because it's going to be horrifying if they shut down again, and if they go for a long period of time, it's going to get ugly.
It's not going to happen this time. This was a calculated move to appeal to everybody's base. They've done it. They've taken DACA off the table. They've taken the wall off the table. So now they can go with the budget because now no one's going to win either one.
Right. So they'll move forward, and we'll go ahead and get going. Let's see. It's 8:23. I'll go for another 7 minutes. Real quick, how desensitized are we as a society where you've had 2 school shootings in less than 2 weeks, and they weren't...
Try 11.
Full-fledged breaking news stories. We had one in Kentucky, one in India. I forget what state it was, but India somewhere. And it's not this major friggin' news. And this one in Kentucky was real bad. The one in India was just as bad. But they become so desensitized, and they're happening so often. It's just crazy. It's crazy that it's not a big story anymore. You know, it's just
the reason is because these things happen and nothing gets done. So the media, a lot of times they would cut away because they thought there was a story there, and then we get a pretty awful debate for a couple of days about now's not the time or this is the time, and nothing ever gets done. So I think the media is tired of falling for it like a chicken little thing. However, I will say this, the Kentucky shooting was breaking news. I saw it when it happened. They cut away for it, at least on the program I was watching. So some people covered.
Yeah, I did get the updates on my phone. I got breaking updates on my phone. But seriously, what I hate to tell you, you're wrong. There have been 11 shootings since 1 January 2018.
11 shootings?
Yes, and I'm including shootings at post-secondary, charter schools, and public schools.
Okay.
You know, I mean, and not all of them have led to deaths, though. But they have been shootings. Thank God. We've become desensitized, but we've also become a lot smarter that we can react faster to an active shooter.
Well, I also like to think that maybe the press got a little smarter. I wanted to try to give the press a little bit of a little high five here because maybe. Them not covering it as much. You'd be listening. All you'd be hearing for weeks is about the shooting, and you'd hear the shooter's name get tossed out a few times. And I think now that it's not that we're desensitized of it. I think that the less press you give it, hopefully, maybe it'll happen less and less. You won't get more of these kids or. Somebody just say, hey, so I'm going to go shoot up the school and I'm going to be famous, within a matter of minutes, no matter what happens to me. I'm going to get my agenda out there, and they're going to hear what I had to do, what I wanted to get out. And I'm thinking, I like to think maybe the press is finally, realizing that let's stop giving this as much coverage as we used to, and maybe it'll quell it a little bit.
See, here's my opinion on it. I feel like that society is finally understanding that these incidents aren't the place for gun debate. This last one that happened at the end of 2017, it was just beginning to discuss the mental illness issue, and I feel like nobody wants to talk about that. And I feel that's why we're starting to see them pull away from these school shootings because the real true focus is mental instability. And we've known this. Every last school shooting you go back on, it has nothing to do about the gun debate. It has to go back to mental illness and bullying, and people just really don't want to step up and have that discussion about mental illness at this time, because right now people with mental illness are treated like crap, and government.
Well, no, they don't want to have any debate. They don't have debate.
Mental illness to the government. Mental illness is the government's ugly stepchild. Mm-hmm. They don't want to talk about it, because they don't forget who closed down these mental. Why do we have the mentally ill walking amongst us? Because of the government. Because of the government. That's why the government cut the funding to these mental hospitals, and now they had to close, and because they couldn't fund themselves, and now we have them walking amongst us.
Well, yeah, that's what happened. What happened was in the 80s, there was drastic cuts to mental health done by Reagan and the Congress, which never come back, and this is what happens. the other thing is we need to talk about the gun debate. I am sorry. There is no reason why a civilian needs a military-style weapon. I don't care how sick you are. You ain't gonna do much damage with a butter knife.
But they
I'm going to tell you right now.
You can go back and
the thing with the gun
that.
laws. The thing with the gun laws is you need to have
No, I think
every state has to. Every state, it goes back to Congress. Every state should have they should have a national gun law.
Oh, I agree. I couldn't agree with you more.
It should, has their own gun law. New York has the toughest gun laws in the country.
Oh yeah.
And I think then it's Connecticut and Massachusetts. I mean, but then.
Oh, I think we lost Frank. You there?
Texas, or you go to Florida, and the gun law is whatever. Yeah, I'm talking.
Well,
Can you hear me?
one better. How about New Hampshire, Vermont? They got liberal.
I was just about to say that Maine's gun law is based on whatever your state's gun law is. So I think if we have a national gun, this isn't like let's disarm every citizen in the United States. It should be just, hey, look, we need to have a gun law that every state in the nation is gonna abide by, and that's just it. This is something on and just take it.
Who are you, and what have you done with our resident caveman?
Well, because I'm tired of because I'm a gun owner. You know what I'm saying? And I don't want my rights to be taken away because of some fools.
Neither do I. We're about to do that. We're about to start the process here, and me and the wife. And trust me, I don't want to lose my right to carry. Like I said, we talked about the zombie apocalypse last week. So
instead of come follow me because I have a good. Instead of constantly going after the gun law, pissing off the what the hell's the name of the group there? Whatever.
The NRA?
I love them.
NRA?
But anyway, the NRA.
All Gun Owners Action League.
The NRA. Yes. Then instead of pissing off the NRA, why doesn't Congress to get together and say, look, why don't we make a federal gun law? Why don't we make a gun law that every state is going to follow, and that's just going to be it?
Because there's no money to be made. There's no money to be made in all this red tape confusion. They're making a ton of money off of all this red tape confusion.
Well, then you know something? I don't want to hear another goddamn thing about gun laws.
Because I have to ask.
Some states are and everything else. It's just the way it is.
Ken, if we had one federal gun law and you didn't have all this red tape, how many court cases would go by as far as trafficking and crossing state lines and all this stuff? Because of how much of that would go away? What percentage would if you?
I would say at least 30 to 40%.
Holy shit, that's a big amount. Wow.
Yeah. Because one of the biggest problems you face is what they call the iron pipeline, I-95. Buying guns in Georgia, Mississippi, Florida, and then bringing up here and selling them. Matter of fact, I've got 3 iron pipeline cases on my docket right now, in one way or the other.
And it's funny because I see these people. I don't want to say I assume, but you see it late at night. You see the state troopers. I remember the other night I was driving home from me and the wife were driving home from somewhere, and they had a car pulled over on 24 on the 123 overpass. There was 6 state troopers. They had the dogs. And I said to her, I says, man, you know what? It's an SUV with out-of-state plates. It's late at night. And I says, if you're a cop, I says, the first thing that kind of goes through your mind is what are they running this time of night? That they're, and they hate to say that you assume that as a police officer, but usually that's probably what it is. Or either sometimes what I heard is, and it's pretty scary, I heard what happens is there's usually 2 shipments that go. One shipment's the smaller shipment, and then they rat on the smaller shipment so the bigger shipment can get through.
Right.
If that's true, that's pretty scary. Because all your cops are here with this one guy who knows he's being set up to take a hit, so this other vehicle can make it through. That's pretty scary. That's part of this whole.
No, I mean, I mean, if you don't think they've done their intelligence, you're foolish. You know, I mean, people think these criminals are they're just stupid and they just, they aimlessly just do what they do. Let me tell you something. They do this event. They know what they're doing. This stuff's all calculated. If you got to lose a little bit for the majority of it to get through, and you lose a guy in the process, well, so be it. That's just it.
And like we've said, we've seen it before. The Hells Angels. I saw a thing in the Hells Angels. Hells Angels got people so deep in as lawyers, and they were paying off judges at one time, so they could get people off. And oh my God, it was just so scary to hear that type of stuff. But guys, we're at 8:34. We talked about pretty much 90% of the stuff that we wanted to talk about. Next week's going to be our Super Bowl preview show. Come one, come all. Everybody, the invite's out to you, Z-Man. The invite's out to anybody who wants to call on the show and be part of the Super Bowl talk. The Patriots are on their way to the Super Bowl for the 10th time to take on the Philadelphia Eagles. I'm going to try and get my son, Tyreek Hayes, on this show. I'm going to trash talk the hell out of him until he comes on this show. Trash talk the hell out of him because, this is a big one. This is a big one for the family, and I wouldn't have it any other way. I had somebody hit me up and say, "How come your son's an Eagles fan? Why isn't he a Patriots fan like you?" And I'm like, "Because I allow my son to have a mind of his own." And
because you're a wuss. That's why.
No, I let my son. No,
I'm sorry. No. You're like the kid. The parent allows the kid to eat the Tide Pods. I'm sorry. Bad parenting. I love you dearly, Sister One, but I'm sorry you dropped the ball on this one.
Oh my God.
I don't know. My brother's a 49ers fan, and I'm a Patriots fan. So I mean,
Well, Z-Man, I lost hope for you years ago.
So, guys, we got to get ready to get out of here. Good stuff. For those who didn't hear the news, get it before we go. Xbox Live. If you're a big Xbox Live guy, they just announced for their $9.99 Xbox Live Game Pass that they have, they are now going to have exclusive games premiere on the Xbox Live Game Pass, which means you don't have to pay $60 for that game anymore. If you pay the $9.99 a month, you're going to have access to these brand new spanking games. Makes me rethink because I wasn't paying the $9.99 a month. I was like, I'm going to hold off. Guess what? They got my attention, and they're probably going to get my $9.99 a month. And they said what they're going to do really now is they're probably going to say, no, you can pay the $9.99 a month if it's easier, but if you want it to pay yearly, it's going to be $60 a year. So now I got to say to myself, wow, I pay $60 for just that one game. I'm going to just pay the $60 for the year and get the 3 games and game share with my kid, and we're going to go from there. Good stuff. Look at Ken Diesel, blah, 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 because he hasn't bought the Xbox One yet. And Ken, I could have used you. I actually watched Predator this past weekend. I was sitting home. It was my night off. I was drinking my high grape ales. Predator was on. And for me,
they got time to bleed.
That, you know what? Every time I watch that movie, I always notice something new in that movie. And when you watch the movie Predator, when in the scene where Jesse Ventura buys it, I was mad because we really didn't get to see Jesse Ventura do that much. But then you realize when you watch this movie, that was the big setup to this movie because the Predator felt that Jesse the body was the toughest of the group. He had the big 50 cal. He the way he carried himself. So when you look at this movie, it was just a great movie, and it went by so fast. And then I went on Xbox and was trying to play Ghost Recon, but there was no Ken out there, so I ended up getting my ass killed because Ken is just leaving me and feeding me to the wolves. So before we get out of here, we're going to let everybody say their goodbyes. Frank, I'm going to let you go first.
I just wanted to say thanks for letting me on, fellas. It was a lot of fun being on tonight. Just wanted to tell everybody thanks for listening, and it was a good time. And I'm doing that MS ride again this year, so go. You can check out my Facebook and go to MS Bike MS Cape Cod getaway and donate to my cause.
Squid.
Hey, we're running long, so I'll keep it quick. Just thanks for listening, everybody. Have a great week. Make the Congress do its job.
Ken, and he's in here. Ken's in the chat putting in Predator quotes from the movie while we're getting ready to sign off the air.
Well, excuse me. Predator is one of the finest movies. That and Commando are two of Schwarzenegger's greatest movies, as far as I'm concerned. That being said, I'd like to thank all of our listeners, all 12 of them. Big shout-out and congratulations to my baby cousin, Alyssa Lopresti, who got married last weekend. Alyssa, was awesome seeing you. And guys, gals, others, be safe out there.
Ken just scared me. I thought he was about to say his niece, Alyssa Milano, and I was about to kick his ass and say, Frank, his niece
He's been holding out. He's been holding out all this time, that bastard. I'm watching ZTV or whatever the hell it was, and
I swore, my mind was like, did he just say, listen, was he about to say Melissa Milano? I was about to kill him. What? What are you talking about?
Do you think I would keep that to myself? I mean, really, you know my mouth.
I was like, you know a brother was single at one time? Man.
Yeah, don't fool him.
Oh, man, good stuff. Hey, guys, good weekend coming up. No football. Like I said, we're getting ready for the big Super Bowl show next Tuesday night. But this is a free weekend, everybody. You know, it's rest up, enjoy some time with your family. Take those special moments in, because next week it's going to be full parties. And, oh, man.
There ain't going to be no family time next Sunday. That's for damn sure.
Can we just make Monday a holiday here in Massachusetts? Because 10 Super Bowls, man. These Mondays after Super Bowls are rough.
Then you get the parades, you know.
Because if they win the Super Bowl on Sunday, now you got to go to work on Monday because you're going to the duck boats on Thursday and Friday. Right. So you're definitely dragging your ass in on Monday. So, Ken, what do you got there in the chat? Actually, Mike Fury's in the chat. Before we sign off, he said, give the teachers guns and a lot of school shootings will stop. I think liability-wise, you will never see teachers with guns in school. No. That's a huge liability. I don't think you'll ever see that happen.
Well, you know, if every school community has school police officers, that could deter it too. So
we'll see. Hey, we got to get out of here. I got to thank the wife for hooking me up. But Ken is still going at it with freaking quotes from freaking Predator and Commando in the chat. I wish I could take it. I said this before. I wish I could just save the chat and put this shit out there for people to see, which I can, to be honest. But I got to think.
Those are all Predator quotes. I haven't got any of my Commando quotes. That will be a whole show.
Oh, yeah. The knock. Yes, you're right. Knock was from Predator. And you know what? We've dropped the ball, guys, because before we get out of here, we were supposed to actually start a booth movie, a man movie night, where we're supposed to find a location and show a movie such as this, and guys could come out and watch this movie.
We'll work on it after the Super Bowl.
Yeah, we had come up with that idea after we all had seen 300, which was probably like in the top man is 300.
Oh God, man!
I could just watch that movie over and over and over.
I do watch that movie. Oh, every time it's on, I watch it. I don't care. I love it. That is the ultimate man movie right there. 300.
You know what? And real quick, it has so many quotes, and it just set the whole genre of those type of movies. And when you watch the director's cut and see how it was filmed and how they saved all the money, was very interesting. We'll talk about that on another show. But we got to get out of here. All I got to say is thanks, guys. I got to thank the wife, Dawn, for the soup she gave me on air, and my daughter, Brianna, who's got a baby due in less than 2 weeks. I'm going to be a grandpa. She made it. And other than that, SpongeBob, do me.
Well, see you next Tuesday.
Thanks for tuning in to the booth at Whoobazoo.com. Please make sure to tune in for more booth next Tuesday night at 7 p.m. New York Eastern Standard Time. Become a fan on their Facebook page and check out their podcast on iTunes. The booth is hosted by Sinister One, Z-Man, and Ken Diesel.
I've got to start hanging out with friends that are a little more intelligent and understand politics and stuff. It's just that I'm up on this level up here, and all my friends are down here. Me, nah. You guys, nah. Maybe a little more down in here. Screw you guys, I'm going home.
Whoobazoo.com.
I can't hold my tongue. These kids are my grandchildren, and you are raising them wrong. They are terrible boys.
Shut up, Chip, or I'll go ape shit on your ass. I'm gonna scissor kick you in the back of the head.
Yeah. Turn up the heat. Go on and get some, boys. Come on.
I'm 10 years old, but I'll beat your ass. Chip, I'm gonna come at you like a spider monkey.
Like a spider monkey. Go on. Chip, you brought this on, man.
Greatest generation, my ass. Tom Brokaw is a punk.
What is wrong with you?
Chip, I'm all jacked up on Mountain Dew.
I love that.
You gonna let your sons talk to their grandfather like that? I'm their elder.
I sure as hell am, Chip. I love the way they're talking to you. Because they're winners. Winners get to do what they want. Hell, you're just a bag of bones. Only thing you ever done with your life is make a hot daughter. That's it. That's it. That is it.
If we wanted us some wussies, we would have named them Dr. Quinn and Medicine Woman, okay?
Whoobazoo Radio.
Can you dig it? Can you dig it? Can you dig it?